guys, and welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Olympia. I also refer to myself as a chem, a celiac epileptic migrainer. Check out my playlist if you want to learn more about those conditions. However, today I am not here to take you on my medical journeys. I am here at my peaceful spot to ask you one simple question, and that is, are you the sole owner of your happiness? Or is your happiness dependent on someone else's? And how does compromise versus sacrifice play into that question? Speaking as a social introvert and an uncontrollable people pleaser, I am here to tell you that owning your own happiness is fucking hard. It is so hard not to get affected by people's wants, by people's needs. So, what happens when you are renting or subletting your happiness? We become like little amoebas, single cell organisms reshaping, reforming our happiness around others. However, after a while, we end up becoming like parasites, so basically nourishing our happiness from those around us. So how do you get out of this? How do you escape from this vicious cycle? I'm going to tell you what I do, and feel free to comment below if this works for you. But before I get into all that, help a girl out, subscribe to that channel, give me a thumbs up, ring that bell for your weekly Olympia dose of Thursday videos, and let's start. Where does this whole thought process begin? Where does this whole renting versus owning your happiness, compromise versus sacrifice? Here's the thing. I believe that it lies between understanding the difference between compromise and sacrifice. You see, compromise is mutual, whereas sacrifice is one-sided. And I know this is going to sound really corny, but bear with me. Guess where it all starts? Yourself. Because honestly, guys, if you can't compromise what you want and what you need, what you feel and what you think, how the hell are you supposed to compromise with someone else out there? So after you've gone through this whole personal declutterment stuff, which I'll be doing a separate video on that, by the way, then and only then do I believe you can actually reflect, investigate in the relationships in question. So in this video, I'm going to be focusing more on romantic relationship because that's where I find that the whole sacrifice versus compromise becomes a bit blurry. But I think that my methods and ideas can be applied to other types of relationships, such as family and friendship. So, romantic relationships. We've all heard the stereotypical phrases, love conquers all, love is enough. But really? Is love really enough? Does it really conquer all? Personal experience? Nah. There are so many other aspects that come into play. So let's face it, in the beginning, romantic relationships are great. You have the whole can't breathe, can't eat, can't exist with the other person, because guess what? You are falling in love. Which, side note, has anyone noticed that the word falling has a negative connotation, but because you smack it next to the word in love, it suddenly becomes okay? Anyways, so after all that, after you've gone through the phase of falling in love, you come out with something more concrete, something more solid. What we call love. But it's in this transition where I find that the difference between compromise and sacrifice becomes a bit blurry. Cause let's face it, in the beginning you are shoving your love in that person's face. Okay, maybe shoving's not the right word, but you get it. You're giving that person everything. Because first of all, you don't want to seem like a bitch. So you're like, I'm gonna let that relationship fester a bit and then show my true colors. But what I've noticed, and obviously this doesn't go for all relationships, is that it's in this transition of falling in love to love that one person starts to give up more than the other until it becomes a sacrifice. And the crazy part is we don't even realize it, because our first reaction is like, yeah, obviously I don't mind watching a documentary on the Civil War, even though I wanted to watch a romantic comedy, because I love that person. Or I care about that person, so I will cancel plans with friends that I've had for about a month because that person doesn't happen to have plans that night. Now, I'm not saying that these things shouldn't be done, but I'm saying that if you're doing it solely to please the person, and you feel like you're sacrificing, then that's where it becomes a bit tricky. And ding ding for my chronically ill friends, I think the line for us is even harder because we feel like we owe the person, that we have to compensate for the fact that we are sick or we have a condition, because the person has to deal with it, and that person is sacrificing something for us, which deep down inside, guys, you know that's bullshit. Because if that person didn't want to be with you, they wouldn't be with you. Simple as that. So how do you get out of this vicious cycle of people pleasing and self-sacrificing? Harsh truth time. If you continue sacrificing parts of yourself, if you continue down this road, you are no longer the person they fell in love with. Because, again, here's something crazy. That person fell in love with the pre-sacrifice version of you. They fell in love with your life, with your habits, and you. We've all heard the classic phrases, well, I gave him everything, or I did everything she asked for, why did she break up with me? Exactly! You gave him everything, and in that process, you also gave yourself. So why do we wonder why these people fell out of love with us? Why do we wonder why they no longer, no matter how much we give them, why won't they reciprocate? It makes sense, doesn't it? So, if you're still with me, you guys are awesome, and hopefully I haven't bummed you out, because right now, I'm going to tell you what I do. And like I say, I do this almost on a daily basis, because for me, compromise and sacrifice are really hard to differentiate. First of all, simple. Identify the problem. Pick one relationship. Pick the relationship you feel that should be in question. Now, again, this is going to sound really corny, but guess what? You have nothing to lose. Drag your sorry ass to the mirror and look at yourself. Don't look at your face. Don't look at your flaws. Don't look at some weird part of your body that you find sexy. Look at yourself in the eyes. Now, side note on that, there is a socially acceptable time frame where a glance becomes a stare. And unless the person is really hot, a stare is awkward. It's weird. I bet you, after you've passed that socially acceptable time point and that fraction of a second where you're like, am I a psychopath? No, just me. Anyways, so after you've passed that socially acceptable time frame, you will feel the same feeling that you get when someone stares at you. Because guys, we don't often stare at ourselves. We don't often look ourselves in the eyes because it's uncomfortable. So, after you've gone through all that, ask yourself this question. Is my happiness dependent or contingent on someone else's? So, if that person has a sucky day, does that mean, by extension, you have a sucky day? Now, if the answer is yes, you're more likely on the sacrifice part, which is fine, because once you identify the problem, that's when you can fix it. One thing I try to do is I start to reintroduce something that I feel like I've sacrificed in the relationship, whether that's a habit or an activity. Now, in the beginning, the person may respond in a negative way, which makes sense because, like it or not, they've kind of used to getting their way. However, if this person honestly fell in love with the pre-sacrifice version of you, they'll get used to it. So, for example, this can be something as simple as Sunday brunch. You used to go to Sunday brunch with your friends, and suddenly now you've stopped because you prefer to spend time with your significant other, which again, is fine. However, if you feel like you've sacrificed that, grab that phone and arrange that for that Sunday brunch. And most importantly, I'm not telling you to neglect the other person, nor am I telling you to suddenly pull out the single card and get back that life, let's say, that you think you've sacrificed. No. What I'm saying is to reintroduce that habit and actually invite that person to come along with you. And another example could be that every Saturday morning you enjoyed fixing up or repairing your car, and suddenly you stopped because you thought, well, my significant other doesn't care about an engine cylinder compression, or what the difference between a supercharger and a turbocharger is. but you have nothing to lose. So next Saturday, grab that toolkit, drag your ass to that car, and ask your significant other, maybe they want to come with you. You never know. And worst things come to worst, they say no. Spend some quality time with your friends or by yourself, and then you're back together. Because at the end of the day, guys, they did not only fall in love with you, they fell in love with your habits, your life, your environment. Guess what? If you're on the sacrifice part, you have a power card to play. You can make that person fall in love with you all over again. And that is awesome. Because not only do you get to reintroduce yourself into the relationship or find a part of yourself that you felt you sacrificed, but you get to experience the whole falling in love phase with the person that you already love. Let me know if this method works for you. I always welcome future requests for videos on those big and little questions in life that nibble through our brains. Don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, ring that bell for those weekly Thursday videos, and that's it, folks.